So today we have a laptop that is Dell branded, and the customer's complaint is that it's not turning on and it's not even charging. And the thing is, this Dell laptop, whichever the customer gave, it has a charger also. The charger itself has one light on it. So whenever you plug in the charger, what we observed is the light is also going off. So as you see in the video, whenever we plug in, the charging light is going off. So from that what we understood is there might be short circuit on the board, otherwise the charging light won't go off. So in the preliminary testing what we understood is there is a short circuit on the primary rail, 90 volt primary rail. Wherever you plug in the charger, it goes onto the motherboard, and as soon as you plug in, since there is short circuit on the motherboard, the light is going off. So that is the thing we realized. But what got short circuited, whether capacitor, MOSFET, any IC got short circuited, we don't know till now. That we will come to know only once the laptop is opened and the motherboard is checked. So we will open and see the main testing is done, like charger is going off. That's what we realized. That's why it's not turning on, it's not charging. Then we will open and see. So let's see the teardown process first. This is one of the very common issues in laptops, and if you are lucky, it gets repaired very easily. And in some cases what happens, the direct MOSFET which is connected to processor, or which is connected to embedded controller, or which is connected to graphic card gets short circuited. Like main power supply MOSFETs, like 19 volt to 1 volt, 1.5 volt, 1.3 volt and 0.8 volt regulators will be there for the graphic card, processor and embedded controller. So if those ICs get short circuited, then it is going to be critical repair. Hopefully we will hope for the simple repair, like any capacitor or MOSFET short. Like 70% of the cases, that is the thing happens. Rest 30% of the laptops, they have some major issues. So when the MOSFETs that deliver power to the CPU or major components get short circuited, direct 19 volt rail will get short circuited into that CPU or graphic card or whatever the main component is. But these components are designed for 1 volt, 0.8 volt, 1.2 volt, 1.8 volt, like that. When a 19 volt rail gets directly penetrates into that components like CPU, processor, RAM and all, sometimes the component also fails. Suppose let us assume a RAM power supply. There are two MOSFETs that regulate power to the RAM. If one of the high side MOSFET gets short circuited, fails, basically MOSFET fails and becomes, instead of acting as a MOSFET, they act as a conductor directly. In that case what happens, the 19 volt directly comes onto the RAM. In that case RAM also will fail, and it's not just RAM. The RAM power supply 1.2 volt or 1.35 or 1.8, whatever depending on the RAM, DDR3, DDR4 or DDR2, they are connected to CPU also. DDR4 rail 1.2 volts, it is connected to RAM and CPU both. So when this RAM high side MOSFET gets failed, this 19 volt will directly penetrate into RAM and CPU. In that case RAM will get damaged and CPU also will get damaged. So these are the kind of cases where we will see major issues. Like sometimes board will go beyond repair also. It can't be repaired, like processor fails, RAM fails. Replacing processor is going to be very expensive, and the customer won't be preferring to pay that much. So in that cases we have to return the laptop. And we have similar cases, two more laptops. Two are Asus laptops. One is one today it came, like one Asus ROG Strix, Asus Zephyrus, and one more Asus that came. That also we will take the video and upload next cases. You can see. And this model is different. Now latest laptops are not coming like this. They can be opened simply from the back panel, but this configuration is given in some olden type, like you have to open the front panel, keyboard, everything to open the motherboard. But if you have seen latest laptops, if once you open the back panel, you can access the motherboard direct. And this model has so many flex cables. We should be very careful while opening this. Otherwise, sometimes what happens, these cables will break, and that it becomes very hectic work because we won't be able to get the cables in the market, and these cables won't be produced again and again. We have to find some alternate cables. We have to make it adjustments and alternations. So we should be very careful while opening these flex cables. Because around 5 to 6 flex cables. Yeah, this is one side of the motherboard, and the other side, I think all the MOSFETs, regulators, inductors, everything is on the other side because we can't see anything on this side. Only we can see embedded controller this side. Embedded controller is also called I/O, super I/O. Some people call it embedded controller. Some people call it as a keyboard controller. Whatever it is, it's basically in their own words they call it. So we also call it sometimes embedded controller, sometimes I/O. Both are same. So let's see on the other side how many. So this is the other side of the motherboard. Now you can see chipset, RAM, what all are there, and the MOSFETs, inductors, and under the heatsink processor and graphic card will be there. That way we will see after opening the heatsink. So for now we can see all other components other than GPU and CPU. So we will do the testing now where the exact short circuit is. You can see the charging port where the cable comes. When the connected charger comes onto the motherboard through one cable, that's called the charging cable, internal charging cable. And the short circuit happened on that area, near that area only. There are two MOSFETs, so we will check of one MOSFET which is close to that. And you see on the 90 volt primary rail in the motherboard, in the multimeter you can see directly the reading is 0 ohms. It is showing 1 ohm, 0 ohms, 0.9 ohms. So it is completely short circuit. It should be always in mega ohms. Whenever you check on 19 volt main rail, it should be like mega ohms, not 1 ohm, 2 ohms. It should be more than 10k. So now we are checking the MOSFET. Whatever we are having suspicion, those two MOSFETs, one of those two MOSFETs we are checking. You can see one MOSFET is already short circuited. So on both sides we are testing two probes on the both sides. It is showing 0 on one MOSFET, and the other MOSFET it is fine. It is showing see CPU and GPU clearly. And yeah, one of the MOSFETs which we say was short circuited, we already removed it. Now the motherboard is under the microscope. When it is under the microscope, you can't see the motherboard clearly, so we are showing it on the TV. Microscope is connected to TV, so on the TV you can see clearly the MOSFET. This MOSFET got short circuited, so we removed it. The MOSFET number is 7400A, and this data sheet also we can find online. And if we don't have exact MOSFET, we will put the similar MOSFET which has the same configurations. Like some MOSFETs are P-type MOSFETs, some MOSFETs are N-type MOSFETs. And this is the other MOSFET which was fine. So we don't take out with this one. We will only replace the one which was damaged. We are just testing it for confirmation once more. And not only this, but there is short circuit on the 19 volt rail also. So what we found out is there was one capacitor short circuited on the 19 volt rail, and we removed that also. We removed that capacitor. See, luckily we have similar MOSFET 7400. We already have stock, so we will replace that MOSFET with the same number. We don't need to go for any other part number. And we use hot air for soldering this. This is called SMD soldering, and we need to use hot air. And you can see how we do the soldering. So whatever you are saying, it is under the microscope basically. Since we can't focus camera on the board when it's under microscope, we are showing you the one in the same TV. Anyway, we also look into the TV only directly. We look into the TV and work on the motherboard. Like before, in our first video, you can see our entire setup how it was on our channel. It was already there. The microscope and all other equipment also it was shown in that video. See, now hot air is blown and it is getting soldered. Yeah, it is done. Now see, we put the solder flux there, so after soldering is done we need to clear the solder flux also, otherwise board will become sticky, and we will use isopropyl alcohol to clean that. And yeah, we already removed the short circuited capacitor which is on the 19 volt rail. It was showing short circuit on the 19 volt rail also. So we removed that capacitor, we found out, and we removed one capacitor. You see, once you put isopropyl alcohol, it will become clean. And we should clean it when the board is little warm. When board is completely cold, no, it won't get completely cleaned. So we'll put a little hot on the board and then we'll clean it. Some 70 degrees, 80 degrees we'll put on the motherboard and then we'll clean with alcohol. Sometimes even when the board is clean also you can clean it. It depends on the flux. Some flux is like very sticky, so and it will be good quality also, so you need to put little hot. Yeah, this area is done, MOSFET is replaced. Now we will clean the area where capacitor was removed. The capacitor was near the GPU area. Like near the GPU there was one capacitor that got failed. Luckily no other major issue was there in this board. And we will show you also the failed components at the end of this video. Yeah, see this area here, one capacitor was there, so we removed this capacitor also. And these are the GPU power rails, power controllers, power MOSFETs. These are dual MOSFETs, you can say. Dual MOSFETs means two MOSFETs are there on one single IC. It looks like one MOSFET, but inside two MOSFETs are there. When you take out the data sheet now, you can see clearly. In data sheet it is mentioned. These are dual MOSFETs. And yeah, this section is also clean now. So now we'll fix it back and turn on the laptop. Yeah, see, board is clear now. So we'll put a little bit of hot air at the end so that all the alcohol also will get dried out. See, now board is clear. And no traces of flux also, no traces of alcohol. And yeah, this is the MOSFET that failed, and one capacitor is also there, you can see this capacitor. So these two are the ones that got failed. Capacitor is short circuited and MOSFET is also shorted. So these two capacitors it got failed. 7400A. I think this is a single MOSFET only. This is not dual MOSFET. This is single MOSFET.